CPR for the black man, black man, black man. Breathe life to the black man, black man, black man. I see the light, bring me back again, bring me back again, bring me back again. Keep on it till we all stand, all stand. All CPR for the black man, black man, black man. Breathe life to the black man, black man, black man. I see the light, bring me back again, bring me back again, bring me back again. Keep on it till we all stand, all stand, all stand.
Hey, what's good, y'all? It's your boy Ashanti, and you are tuned in to CPR, breathing life into the black man, where we are equipping, igniting, and empowering black men to thrive emotionally, spiritually, economically, and physically and spiritually. So we about that life over here. Of course, your boy Ashanti's in the house. Got my man Shelton here. How you feeling, bro?
Man, I'm feeling good. It's another recording I'm excited for, man. And it's a blessing. It's the summertime in Chicago. While it has some good, it's also some difficult things going on in the city, but nonetheless, I think everybody is happy for the warm weather. So I'm excited.
Yeah, now we're not avoiding the topic, but we're not here to talk about the difficulties. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna keep it positive and on a good tip today. But definitely keep our city lifted. Just like a lot of other cities around the United States. But man, it's that weekend. It's what I call the leftover weekend. It shouldn't be the leftover weekend, but it's really like the leftovers. You know what I'm saying? It's not even the leftovers that you look forward to. It's like the leftovers that you like, oh man, it sat in the fridge too long, I'm gonna get rid of them. You know what I'm saying? It's Father's Day weekend. Now again, I don't see it that way, but that's how I feel sometimes, how we are treated as fathers, man. So happy Father's Day to the fathers out there who tune in right now. Man, when you think of Father's Day, Sheldon, I know you're not a father yet, but man, what comes to mind for you?
Yeah, man. I mean, when I think of Father's Day, obviously I think of my father, who is my hero. I think of, you're right though. In many ways, it is secondary, unfortunately, which should not be the case. But it does feel that way. It's like, oh, it's the Father's Day. But man, when I think of Father's Day, I think of fathers are so essential, man, like so essential to the raising of young men, women, man. So when I think of Father's Day, I'm just grateful, overwhelming sense of gratitude that my dad's in my life, and not just that he's in my life, but man, that he's impacted me so much. So Father's Day, the word that comes to mind is gratitude.
Man, that's what's up, man. We come from two different backgrounds. You grew up with your pops in the house. I didn't grow up with my father in my house. I've always known my father. Well, my parents divorced when I was two, and then my father, I want to say it was around second, it might have been third grade. Then my father moved out of town with his other family. So, yeah, man, for me, when I think of Father's Day, this one hits home for me because like my pops just passed this past March. So it's a beautiful thing because it's a reminder of just the importance of a father. But I think about just, I guess, man, I hadn't planned on saying this, but I guess similar to you, you know what I'm saying, a sense of thankfulness and gratitude, not because of things were perfect growing up, but man, I'm thankful that I can say that me and my father were good, you know what I'm saying, especially in our latter years, where we really worked to grow together on an emotional level of knowing each other, man. And so that's what I'm so thankful that I can say, even in this passing, that like we were good. You know what I'm saying? That's not a question. So we were good, and then I'm grateful for the opportunity to be the father I always wish I had. And then, I for my siblings who may be listening, this is not a shot at our dad, you know what I'm saying? But it's just a reality, like, of I'm there now, you know what I'm saying? So my kids they grew up with me, growing up with me in the house, and I'm thankful to be able to do that, man, because it's exciting, man. Like, I can't lie, man. There's stuff I get to do with them that actually at times I think brings me at least just as much joy as they do, if not more.
That's what's up. Yeah, man, I wanted to ask you, how is it for you, man? You're the father, obviously you two young boys, and I'm sure they give you little gifts and things like that as best as they can. But what is that like being on the opposite end, as far as, I mean, you kind of mentioned it a little bit, but as far as like, I'm sure they give you little drawings and stuff. But how is that day in your household? Like, is it like a big deal, or is it, how is it?
Well, this is what I will say. My wife does an amazing job of making it a big deal. I, on the
Gotcha.
other hand, have to work on it because I'm always real low key. So I'm like, man, you ain't got to really
Mhm.
celebrate my birthday. If I, I'm here. But I'm working out of that because that's not a healthy space to be in. The celebration of self is good.
Yeah.
It can be over exaggerated, but you can go to one extreme where you do it too much, or go to one extreme where you don't do it at all. You got to get somewhere right in the middle. So
Hmm.
I'm thankful for that. It's an exciting day for me, you know what I'm saying? Just to just see what they create.
Hmm.
I look forward to the day once they, that they grown, you know what I'm saying? They'll be able to give us like, hey, here's a full paid trip to such and such.
Yeah.
But no, man, like I'm real sentimental. So like I've got one of their Father's Day gift from like 3 years ago was a picture of all the three of us sit and read. I was reading books to them. And so they
Hmm.
cut it out, put it on a piece of cardboard, drew colors around it, and then put little rocks to create the frame or border around the picture, and then a
Hmm.
little thing to hang it up. And like that meant the world to me. You know what I'm saying? So I still got that in my
Yeah.
box. They give me little gifts. Man, what was real super cool, what was it? I think it was last year. I might be getting my holidays confused whether it was my birthday or Father's Day, but one day my son was like, "Man, Dad, I want to give you this gift." And on the day he gave it, man, it was an envelope with some money. He had given me like $1 and dollar bill, and then like another $1.60 in quarters and pennies. Like, went in this paper
Yeah.
bank and gave out of his, what little bit he had. So like those types of things are just like real memorable. And I think that's what
Yeah.
I think it's not so much the stuff, it's the heart behind the stuff that really makes my Father's Day worthwhile. So that's what it's like
Hmm.
in my house. So what's real interesting is because my pops wasn't in the house, like it was not a big thing in my house. Big thing
Gotcha.
in the house was Mother's Day. But yeah, man. So it's been good, man. It's been a good experience. It's something I'm thankful
Yeah.
for. I cherish. And man, one day, what I'm saying, I look forward to you to tell me what it's like, and I'll reverse the question.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that day, man. I'm really looking forward to it. But yeah, I want to kind of talk too about this conversation, just like why fathers are so important,
Yeah.
like, because I feel like we've talked about already, Mother's Day is always lifted up high, which it should always be.
Yes.
But sometimes I think sometimes it's hard to articulate why fathers are so important, even though we know that they are. And then we can see, obviously all the statistics here and there. But yeah, man, I want to throw that up. What do you think that is? Like, throw that up as a question. Like, why is it so sometimes maybe hard to articulate or put into words how important a father is? Whereas it seems to be really easy to talk about our mothers and like, man, how impactful they are to us.
Well, man, I think there are two things. I'm gonna give you a little pushback in that. I don't think
Okay.
I still think some people don't. They don't. When you say it's like it's easy to see the importance, I think for a lot of people, there is a percentage of people where that's not the case. There isn't a place to see why it's important. Or like for me, growing up, I didn't see why it was important. Uh, I
Mm,
I was first challenged about it when I went to Morehouse, and it
mm,
was brought to my attention. And they basically, one of my mentors, pops, was just like, "Listen, uh, you're missing something in your development because you didn't have your dad in the house." And I was
mm.
pissed. I was like, "Nah, you know what I'm saying? My mom did this, my mom did that. That's why this school wanted me because of the character my mom built me." And man, lo
Mm,
and behold, like the Lord flipped it on my head within that, like that a 6 month time frame where I really started to begin to see, like, nah, like there is something I was missing
mm.
by my dad not being in the house with me on a regular basis. Now I know everybody's situation is different. Some fathers aren't able to be in the house, but for those who are, like there's regardless of your position, you got to do whatever you can do to be in your child's life on a regular basis because it plays a major role. Because there are things that at 35 and now 42, I'm still trying to figure out because I didn't have my dad there to teach me
Mhm.
and acting involved. So I think it's a societal change. Like we got to work as a society to change it. We always say, "Oh man, Black community, fathers, single parents all the time being raised by their mother." And I get it. The stats are real, but I think sometimes the stats uh, are how we say
they're misleading, I think.
misleading. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
it's a lot of like people say, "Oh man, ain't nobody being good dads." I'm like, "Well, nah, son. Like, I got a squad that's about 13 deep. That
Hmm.
I'm talking about and that's just talking about my inner circle, like 13 deep of good fathers. Man. We taking care of
Yeah.
our wives and raising our kids. But again, you
Yeah.
don't see it on the news. There ain't no movie
Mm-hmm.
about it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I was reading the statistics somewhere. I don't know exactly where. I don't remember exactly where it was, but it actually said Black fathers are some of the most involved as far as all the races. So it's kind of like there's all these statistics out there that kind of can be confusing
Yeah,
because I don't believe they're all misleading, and they have certain like parameters or characteristics in the way they seek out certain statistics that aren't fully able to explain that it's not just like every like person that's walking around coming and they don't have a relationship with their father. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
the statistics are somewhat they're lacking in many ways.
Yeah, man. So I think it's just an adjustment, man, of making it a highlight. And
Mm,
it's the thing, I don't think it's just a black community thing either. Like, I think that's one of
mm,
the misconceptions. Like, I think a lot
mm-hmm,
of times, and again, ladies, we're not hating on Mother's Day. I think Mother's Day is amazing. We should live it up for mothers. I'm just saying, I think it should kind of be equally celebratory of men who are fathers. You know what I'm saying? But I think, man, all cultures really struggle with it, where fathers get the short end
mm-hmm,
of the stick. You know what I'm saying? And man, so I think really just trying to create a space, even like our show, that kind of helps reshape the narrative of what
mm-hmm,
fathers are doing, and particularly what Black fathers are doing, what Black men are doing. Because man,
mm-hmm.
it's a lot of good dads out there. So I'm curious to ask you though, like when you think of Father's Day, you think about your father and your relationship. What is one of those things that you like, man, I remember this moment that kind of
Mm,
like has stuck with me. It
mm-hmm.
could be something serious or it could be something silly.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be something more so silly, but has been I was actually talking to my wife about it the other day. It's like one of the things that I want to always keep in my heart and my mind because it shows the fact that like one of the things that I think fathers are really tasked with doing is preparing and showing their kids about a life of just doing things that are memorable, you know? So like I remember I was little, might have been 5 or 6. And I don't even know if my dad would remember this if I just didn't tell him. But so I was born in New Jersey, Patterson, New Jersey, and there's this spot that people kind of go to. It's called Garrett Mountain, where you can see pretty much all of the city in New Jersey, and then you can actually see the skyline in New York City because we're that close. But it's a mountain, so we're walking up the mountain, and there's just parts of it where you can like there's just rocks and it's hilly as you would look down. And I remember my dad, it was just me, my mom, my sister, and my dad. And we're looking at this view, and it's like a great view. And he just all of a sudden just jumps off the side. And we were like terrified. I'm like, this man just jumped. And then literally when we looked over the cliff, there was a rock underneath it, and he was just rolling laughing. And he just landed on the rock, and he was just like hysterically laughing while my mom, myself, and my sister, we were kind of like shocked, like what is happening there. And so like I mean that might seem like a little memory and not like really that significant, but what that showed me is just the importance of like he was laughing so hard and just the importance of just doing things like that and just having fun.
Yeah.
And that's a memory that it didn't cost a whole lot of money. It didn't it wasn't this big thing, but it just was a small little lesson in life is challenging, right? There's different things that happen, but you can still have fun, you can still laugh, you can still do things that are memorable and your kids will remember it. And I think for me the lesson I took from that is create memories.
Yeah.
And I think that's very big in our day and age anyway, with Instagram and Facebook. People are always trying to document memories with photos and stuff like that. But while we didn't get a photo in that memory, that's something that's just instilled on my mind.
That's
So
talking there. So I
and
think
so that's what I would say. Like all fathers who may be listening, future fathers, if you don't hear anything else, I would say one of the best things you can do is just create memorable moments. And what you'll find is, I believe, is that what your kids will remember as a memorable moment to them, you might forget about because for you it's just like a little thing, but for them, and it's just interesting how that works.
And it doesn't always cost a lot.
Exactly.
Saying so, one thing I learned as a father is one. I like to stop what you said as far as making memories. I had to learn how to let this be the memory maker because I'd be
Mm.
so busy on my phone, like, oh, I got to take a picture. Hey, y'all pose for this, that you end up missing
Hmm.
the moment of just being there. And I think we've
Hmm.
lost sight of how to do that because we want to post, because we want to share. And quite frankly, all of my deepest memories are never captured in a picture
Mm.
or a video that you see. All my fondest memories, and it's cool to go back down memory and look at pictures, but all my fondest memories are actually held in my heart and in my mind. Like, you know,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, this was a dope time. But like the ones that hit home, they're all up here because that's where they stay. So what
Mhm.
I've had to adjust is like, yo, I don't have to capture everything.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
like for example, and then this was so dope. Sometimes you get blessed when you take that mindset. So I took the family to a state park this past weekend, and we went to the state park, and there was this big area where there was a waterfall, and so I had a decision to make. It was like, okay, if I take my phone, there's only so much interaction I'm gonna be able to have with my kids because I can't get my phone wet and I can't drop it.
Hmm.
So they're gonna be playing. I have to take pictures. I was like, or do I just play with them? And so I was like, man, I'm gonna put it down, play with them. And there was this part where the waterfall, and the waterfall had made the rocks so smooth that it was about a 6 to 7 foot incline where you could slide down under the waterfall and just slide into some water. It was like maybe probably about 3 to 4 feet deep. And so I was able to do that with my boys. Now my
Hmm.
oldest was hysterical, but we got through it, and we all went down, did it twice. And man, don't you know when I walked out of the water, man, this dude was like, "Hey, bro, listen." White dude was like, "Hey, man, listen. I was able to get a video of you and your kids, man. What's your email? I'll send it to you."
Ah,
So again,
okay.
like we had the memory already captured in our hearts and our mind, but
Hmm.
then like instead of me stressing about doing it, it was like God was like, "Hey, I still got something for you. I'm gonna get you this little
Yeah.
food so you can look back on." So man, I think being able to take advantage of those situations where you just say, "Hey, I'm fully in," is what really matters. And I would say to dads, I know busy schedule, responsibilities.
Hmm.
Sometimes you got to where you and your wife are separated, or you and the mother were never together, and so she's moved on in the relationship, or y'all just are not together as a whole. I want to tell you this, man. This is what I would say as a kid who grew up with our dad in the home, and as a father now. Man, one of the greatest things you can do is invest quality time, Dad. Invest
Hmm.
quality time. So I mean, that means watching something that you may not want to watch. That means listening to their silly stories. And guess what? And guess what? And guess what? Like, it's listening to those stories and engaging them. It's laughing with
Yeah.
them, being silly. And even when stuff doesn't make sense, one thing I have to be careful of, 'cause I'm a fairly serious person, is that, like, don't be logical. Just go with the ridiculousness of the moment and
Yeah.
just enjoy it, man. And when you do those are the things that transform your child's life. That's what gives them confidence. That's what lets them know they're loved. That's what gives them hope. That's what gives them security. All these things by giving quality time. And so I'm thinking about the father who's like, man, but I only got them on the weekends, or I gotta work all day, and so I gotta get this done. All I'm saying is this:
Mhm.
designate. If you say, hey, listen, give myself, I got on the weekend, you got them. You say, hey, this weekend we're gonna have intimate, focused time together. So that means we're not cutting on the TV and watching TV all day. That means we're coming up with creative things to do. And then that means, like, listen, if you work, say, hey, listen, once I get home from work, that first 2 hours I'm home and the kids are up and they run into the door like, Daddy, man, I'm giving them my all those 2 hours until they in
Yeah.
their bed, and then I'll get the work done later. And I'm telling you, it makes man that it'll transform their life, bro. And on
Yeah.
there, I'm on my soapbox. On the other end, you also will be blessed. Like you'll feel better through the
Yeah.
process.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think one of the things you were trying to communicate is we understand that life isn't
Yeah,
always doesn't always work out the way we intend, and so there's a lot of complex situations and things like that. But really, just hear our heart behind it. wherever you may be, if you're a father, that you'll be blessed as well as your child if
Yeah.
you could just make sure you set aside some time where you're focused with them and you just create memories, you know.
Yeah.
And I think as things happen with jobs and with responsibilities, sometimes it can get overwhelming. But if you could just set aside time wherever you are, if you're in Chicago or you're listening in other parts of the country or wherever the world, you know, setting aside small different things that you can do with your child, as well as they don't have to be expensive. I think that's one of the things as sometimes as a man, we think like if we do anything, whether it's being a father, whether it's in a relationship, it's like you think you got to spend this much amount of money and do this and do that. When sometimes it's really just create some memories, and those memories don't have to be expensive, but
Yeah.
they can be worth so much more than what money could buy, you know. And it's like, you know, that memory that I have with my dad and my family is worth more than, you know, a nice expense paid trip to a resort or something. You know what I mean? That's going to be something I'm going to keep forever, and it's taught me something. And so that's all we would hope to encourage any other father who might be listening.
Yeah, man, and shout outs to all the single dads out there, man. I know sometimes
Hmm.
people don't realize it, but there's a lot of single dads out there holding it down,
Hmm.
doing it themselves, man. And it's equally as
Yeah.
difficult as it is for women when you're trying to hold down
Mm-hmm.
kids. Any single parent is a hard job, but shout out to the fathers this Father's Day on it. And you know,
Hmm.
I asked you about a memorable moment, you know what I'm saying? I got a memorable quote. Like, I know y'all gonna trip out. So my father, like really intelligent, knowledgeable dude, super pro black, you know what I'm saying, Afrocentric. It's about our heritage and all that. You know, all of us got African names. But man, I will never forget, like, eighth grade, just graduated, you know what I'm saying? And me and my dad never talked about girls or nothing, you know what I'm saying? He never gave relationship tips. This is the quote that I will never forget. I remember he said it clear as day. He was like, Ashanti, pulled me together one. He's like, son, I want to tell you one thing. I was like, hey, Dad, what is it? And I mean, this was so out of the blue. You know, sometimes parents be just out the blue and stuff. He's like, son, my one word of advice for you is this: as you go into high school, keep your penis in your pants.
Hey,
Hey, that's what he
he
said. That's what the
was.
OG told me. He was like, man, that if I ain't got nothing else to tell you,
That was
that,
his lesson, huh?
that's my lesson. I was like, you ain't gonna elaborate a little more, you know what I'm saying, how to work through temptation, how not to put myself in a bad situation. He like, nah, it's just real simple. Just keep it in your pants. And man, I remember even thinking about it now, crack up.
That's a
And then
proverb right there,
I
huh?
know, right? And then another moment was just like I remember there was this time I was going through a real rough spot. So this is like when I'm an adult, I'm like 25, 26. And
Mm.
there had been a severe breakdown of communication with my mom. So like we weren't seeing eye to eye or something, which was huge because it was the first time that we had ever had something like that happen in my life. Me and my mom had our first real argument when I was like 25, 26. Or should I say disagreement where we weren't seeing eye to eye or something. And man, I remember my pops knew I was feeling kind of down. And yo, G, like my father flew out and came to see me that week and
Oh wow.
spent like 3 days with me in Atlanta. And like I will never forget that, bro. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't a whole lot of, you know, hoopla around it. We just spent time, talked, and then we're just in each other's presence, man. And for those like 3 days, I remember the feeling. You know what I'm saying? I just remember
Mm.
feeling like, yo, even after all this time where it's like he wasn't in the house, it was like there was something about a father's comfort of just saying,
Mm.
son, I'm here with you as you wrestle through this, man. And, man, I'll never forget that, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, we didn't go anywhere, didn't do anything fancy. It was just like, I want you to know I'm here with you. And when he did that, I always knew my dad loved me, but you know, you had these things that happen to make you be like, man, I know that I know my dad loved me. And
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that was one of those moments, man.
Yeah. That's what's up, man. That definitely shows like taking the initiative too.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I mean, I don't want to inundate everybody with different stories because
I
I
know,
got
right?
stories for years, you know. But I would say the final one last memory for me is just one of the cool things I got to experience is my dad was my head coach too. So like I grew up playing soccer, and he did it for my sister too. But that was actually one of the best experiences ever. It was hilarious because he just it seemed as though he just he only focused on me sometimes. But man, it was such a great experience to do that. And so I say, like, especially figuring out as kids grow older, and especially even you too, and your kids get older and they get involved in different activities and they find something they like. Man, if you could participate in that and spend some time doing that with them, that's going to go a long way. And so I don't have any horror stories. I know there's some people who are like,
right?
Man, my parent wanted me to succeed at this sport more than I did. I think when you go that way, that's kind of when issues happen. But for me, I felt like my dad was laid back enough to say, listen, this is what you want to do.
Yeah.
So if you want to do it, I'll be there with you, but I'm not going to overly kill you to try to get somewhere. But it was a great experience personally. So
he wasn't trying to live out his dream through you.
Nah. He says he wasn't, because he says I was better than him. So he was like, oh well. But yeah, it's it was fun. That was fun. And so I just hope these stories I hope they don't just simply like cause somebody to be, upset or bring them regret for what they didn't have. But hopefully, I'm sure there's going to be some of that, but hopefully as well, if you are a father, it just encourages you to just take steps and take opportunities to just spend intentional, as you said, intentional time with your children, and whatever it is that you're doing with them. And just remember, it doesn't have to be overly expensive, but it is memorable. And so whenever you're able to do that, you impact not only your life, but you better the next generation as well.
Yeah, and the two things I want to say, kind of as we closing out, but for those who have lost their pops or just had very bad father experiences, I'll tell you this, man, like, it's not easy, but don't let the bitterness kill you and destroy your heart. I know it may not be easy to do, but the greatest gift you could ever give yourself is forgiving, not because they deserve it, but because you recognize that, you know what, if I don't forgive them, I'm holding on to it and only hurt myself. And so, we base our forgiveness based off of what Jesus did for us on the cross. So I forgive because I know I've been forgiven. But even if that is not what you proclaim or have received yet, man, forgiveness, regardless, is valuable to you. So I encourage you to get forgiveness, or not get forgiveness, give forgiveness, and then at the same time work to get healing, whether that be through counseling, whether through talking to certain people, but get healed of the pain. Because people always ask me, like my wife even sometimes be like, man, how is it you're able to father the way you were, being that you ain't grow with your dad? I was like, man, it's God first and foremost, but then secondly, it's like, man, I just try and be what I wish I had. You know what I'm saying? And so I try and laugh and play and be as engaged as I can as possible. And man, you know what? Listen, we have the privilege of serving in this position. Not everyone is given the position as a father. So man, when you get that opportunity to be one, you hold it down.
Yeah.
So I will say, in the words of my father, if you ain't wifed her, then you probably do need to keep your penis in your pants, so you ain't little juniors every other place. But if you have already, man, slow it down and be sure to take responsibility for what you got. And then, man, I just say this, man, realize that there are other kids that if you are somebody who are unable to have children, or you like, man, me and my wife, we're empty nesters, or, I've just been single my whole life and I don't have any kids. Like, man, there are plenty of young brothers out here who need to be fathered. And so, and I'm saying that's from down to babies to grown men. At 42, I got my OGs that I holler at. Y'all saw him, Pastor Butler. He was on our first podcast. Man, like he serves as a father to me, man. There are times where he literally fathers me through stuff, and he already got 5 boys. But yeah, man, you got a role to play too. So shout out to all my fathers who are not biological fathers, stepdaddies, all that, who hold it down as well, man.
Yeah, no, I would definitely just want to reiterate that, man. There's so many people. We could just look at the news, look at the city. There are so many people who need just mentorship, and you can take the role of a father And I know it's not exactly the same,
Mhm.
but you can be a blessing to another person. And that's really what it's all about. So I think, yeah, definitely what you ended with that was really important. So
Well, we love y'all, man. CPR, breathing life into the black man. Happy Father's Day, G.
CPR for the
yes,
black
sir.
man, black
All
man,
right,
black
check it
man.
out.
Yes, sir. Well, y'all
To
take
the
it
black
easy.
man,
All right,
black
peace.
man. I see the light, bring me back again, back again. Speak on it till we all stand, all stand, all strive. Pressure burst pipes, inside see the pressure rush strike. What we don't like, ignore till it bites. Hold up, yikes. We toss and turn all night trying to fight the feeling while they write prescriptions. All we need is a conversation, huh? Let's explore all our understatements. Tussles with Satan, I struggle with patience. I live in the penthouse, it feel like a basement. The miseducation of living in America. I love her not. Should I marry her? Daddy just died, bury him. Who gon' carry us? Nass up to me, hard to see through the barriers. Black man, you can rise from the backhands. You ain't gotta tap dance just so you can stack grands. Right? Word life when the two came together. We had mad discussions that may last forever. CPR for the black man, black man, black man. Breathe life to the black man, black man, black man. I see the light, bring me back again, back again, back again. Speak on it till we all stand, all stand. All CPR for the black man, black man, black man. Breathe life to the black man, black man, black man. I see the light, bring me back again, back again, back again. Speak on it till we all stand, all stand. All rise, rise, rise.